General soft news E. So it's category 28 in your thing. So it's the editor one. And so uh the my instructions are a timely news story, soft or humorous, covering a planned or unplanned news event, an issue or a person, or a topic in general interest importance. It can be a follow-up or a sidebar to a spot news. General news stories should contain no music, not should, it's not like, just a, except where it's part of the story. Entries must be 5 minutes or shorter.
Dr. Carrie Burtis, choir director at Chemeketa Community College in Salem, Oregon, was tired of teaching his classes and having concerts online. He missed the in-person creative process. After some research, he came up with an idea that made everyone happy and sounded good too.
Yeah, pretty much down to a science. Yeah, we get, the keyboard set up.
Setup begins a half hour before class.
But it's worth it because we get to make music. I am Dr. Carrie Burtis, and I am the Director of Music here at Chemeketa Community College.
For Dr. Burtis,
not nearly as rewarding.
It's been a challenging year. In-person choir rehearsals came to a screeching halt last March, forcing singers to switch to virtual practice.
Help me, Lord. What I call cell phone choir.
It sucks. Virtual choir sucks, yeah.
They're seeing themselves on their phone, and it's really hard to be emotive with yourself.
He craved face-to-face contact along with his students.
As a choir director for over 30 years, I'm used to having people in front of me and my music and their music, and we're interacting and singing and joking, and just like a regular choir. I think we're all set.
His drive to bring back those regular days put him on the road to a creative solution.
Our car choir.
When he came up with this concept, we said, if it'll work, we'll do it.
We call this fender to fender.
It's really nice to be in person again.
It's really cool.
He gets to make music again, which is what he's passionate about.
His wife Gloria lends a hand
32.
playing keyboard.
2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Good.
The singers pull into the lot and line up by voice type.
This is a soprano section.
I'm a baritone.
Sopranos here. Alto cars, tenor cars, bass cars.
My Bonnie lies over the ocean.
Wireless mics routed into an FM transmitter.
So this is the transmitter.
Today picked up on FM 88.9.
We create a temporary radio station.
Once tuned in, the singers can not only hear themselves, but hear the other singers, and most importantly, their instructor.
Let's start with the Irish medley.
Being able to sing here with very little latency on the radio, it's an awesome experience, even if we can't do it close to each other. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling.
To be in person and be able to sing at the same time all together is so cool.
Oh, Danny boy. It's artistic freedom. Danny boy. This is the best way I found that we can do this, is to come together and just sing.
Yeah, you watched me that time. All right, let's go be pirates, shall we?
The songs they sing are as diverse and fun as their teacher.
I got too excited. 2, ready, and filling me. Can it be more pirate-like?
He's fun.
Yes.
Yeah. He's got a good sense of humor.
Guy.
R, I'm a pirate. R, mighty. 2, ready, and filling me.
As a conductor, as a teacher, it's much better to actually be conducting and gesturing to my students, my singers, and having them respond to my gesture.
I don't really think there's words that can describe how happy it makes me and everyone else here.
Filling me, Uh-oh. Now I'm seeing sprinkles on my page. We had sun. What happened?
The location of their stage carefully selected.
You still see me? Oh boy.
The alcove comes in handy when the weather turns.
Got sprinkles. That's why I have plastic sheets on my music.
We've been here in snow, we've been here in rain, sunshine, so it's been fun to see what happens each week.
Ready, go. in 1841.
An in-person connection, creating harmony when so much of the world is out of sync.
Choir's about singing, yes, but it's about community. It's about people coming together and sharing their voices and making harmony and making music together.
Christelle Kumwe,
Wow.
KGW News.
A Florida high school student receives rave reviews from his classmates and teachers for a speech he wrote and delivered to his senior class. For this young man, it's a speech a young lifetime in the making.
When you go to the same small school with the same small crowd
I was like 5 years old when I met him.
for most of your life,
I've known him since we were literally 4.
by senior year, you expect students to have found their voice
I think I got it, by the way.
and not be afraid to use it.
A song for the soundtrack of your life.
Sean Emmons
Oh boy.
is no exception.
Till I Collapse by Eminem.
But for this political buff on the school debate team,
Natalie, isn't that your top choice?
using his voice was never the problem.
I'll talk to anybody that will listen.
Accepting it
What does your stutter mean to you?
It means everything and it means nothing.
has been a journey for as long as this 17-year-old can remember.
I would get really visibly frustrated when I couldn't say what I wanted to say.
According to Sean, his stutter first became noticeable around 3. By 3rd grade, he was in speech therapy, but got frustrated and quit 2 years later.
One day it'll just go away.
Then came middle school.
In a lot of ways, it was rough.
Made it that much rockier for a boy with a stutter.
Because the Derrick Henry character,
His classmates just couldn't understand.
they were just kind of, I don't really know what to do with you because you're very different in a number of ways.
After 8th grade, when most young teens aren't even close to figuring out who they are, Sean realized it was time to accept who he was never going to be.
No, it's not just going to go away. It's going to be here and it's going to continue being as bad as it is for as long as I choose not to do anything about it.
So instead of hating his stutter, he made the decision to own it, embrace the voice that for years he couldn't stand, as the voice that makes him stand out. And most recently, inspired him to stand up.
I spent most of that time wishing that my stutter would magically disappear.
In front of 150 classmates, teachers, and parents,
I treated it like a disease.
Sean gave his senior class speech
I finally accepted my stutter as a part of who I am.
in a way only he could.
It is our differences that define us, not our similarities.
By end,
What we have to say matters too. We just take a bit longer to say it sometimes. Thank you.
there wasn't a dry eye in the school gym. That's his dad and mom after hearing the speech for the first time with everyone else. Proud.
Oh man. Wow. Like, oh.
Is hard to put into words.
I know all that he went through, and so to see him get through it was awesome.
Leaving your parents speechless is one thing.
Every teacher stood for him in the stands, and the children, the most thunderous applause. So it was very rewarding.
A lot of the times people will tell you a sob story, but it wasn't a sob story. It was like a story of perseverance. He really showed us with his speech, that sometimes you just have to take on what life gives you.
STEM club.
Next year, Sean will take on college.
I think I'm gonna major in something in the statistics and data science area.
Leaving behind a journey that took him years to fully express into words he could finally accept.
Whoever this story, whoever it gets shared with, whoever ends up impacting That's all fantastic, but the most important piece of that for me was like that was the final piece of the puzzle of like putting it to rest with myself.
What's the rad in Colorado?
The light is gorgeous. We have a beautiful sunrise. And we're surrounded by wildlife. We're surrounded in nature.
Man, don't you just love Colorado?
I think it doesn't get much better than this.
Barbara Fleming knows what's up. She's a wildlife photographer and all-around cool person, even at 6 a.m.
My dog looked at me like I was crazy, which I probably am.
Barbara is here to capture the sandhill cranes,
flapping their wings fiercely.
They descend on Monte Vista National Wildlife Refuge every spring.
I totally love the noise. It's mesmerizing. Look at all of them way out there. There's thousands of them.
More like tens of thousands.
You know, most of us have spent a year or more in isolation, having to stay home. And all we have to do is step out and just drive a little bit. And we're in a magical wonderland. This is better than Disneyland.
Though the birds clearly don't know about social distancing, the people who run the area's annual Crane Festival do.
This is so incredible. Look at all of them flying around.
The event's 38th year will be held virtually, but organizers still want people like Barbara.
Here they come.
To spread out on this open space.
I feel like I can take a deep breath and relax a little bit and feel like I'm going to be okay. You know, it gives me a sense of hope. And that's exciting. Woo!
It's hard not to get caught up in Colorado.
I'm a sandhill crane.
The only state with rad in the middle is still rad all over.
It's the place to be when there's a pandemic going on.
For next, this is Ann Herbst.
The National Museum of Military Vehicles looks like the kind of landmark you'd find in Washington, D.C. or New York, but it's parked just outside of Dubois, Wyoming, a frontier town with a population of a little over 800. Founder Dan Starks is undoubtedly a collector, but he sees even greater value in the stories these historical vehicles and objects tell.
East of Yellowstone, along a lonely road. It's quite the haul to get here.
This is our weapons vault.
And still,
every firearm in here is my personal weapon.
It's nothing compared to the haul.
This is the most famous firearm in American history. This is the Bunker Hill musket.
Stored carefully inside.
This is the musket that fired the very first shot at the Battle of Bunker Hill.
Dan Starks is a collector.
I have a serial number 1, the very first Colt center-fired rifle, 1911 .45 caliber pistol that belonged to General Patton.
But along the way to accumulating,
I started collecting firearms about 20 years ago, both handguns and long rifles, and then Class 3 fully automatic weapons.
A treasure trove of antique guns.
I have several serial number 1 firearms.
The journey led him to even bigger purchases.
This was my very first tank. I acquired it in 2010.
But where there was one tank,
this was a 30-ton paperweight at the time, all rusted out.
Starks figured he could buy 2.
In 2014, I bought a second tank, already fully restored.
And then he decided he had room for a few.
And the next thing you know, now I've got 475 total, and I'm still adding to it. We have light tanks, armored vehicles, scout vehicles.
The National Museum of Military Vehicles.
We have a full range of tank destroyers. Every single model of ground combat vehicle in the United States for World War II
is now the home of much of the Starks collection.
My wife supported me buying the second tank, but as my collection continued to grow, my wife accused me of being like a woman buying shoes.
With $100 million of his fortune invested so far,
I've salvaged vehicles from the junkyard to drivable, fully restored, complete examples of our history.
the battle group continues to grow, thanks in part to a Utah collector.
Who is Carl Smith?
Carl Smith from Salt Lake City was a very good friend of mine. He was absolutely instrumental in helping me create this collection. Unfortunately, he died last year unexpectedly, but he sold to me and helped me understand 150 of these vehicles in my 475 vehicle collection.
For every priceless relic,
This is really the best tribute we know how to provide.
the retired CEO sees greater value in the story behind each one.
One of the purposes of this museum is to tell the stories of Americans in military service with the idea that if we know their stories, then there'll be more genuine heartfelt in our thank you for the service that American military have provided.
As Starks Museum launches its new exhibit on the Korean War and Vietnam,
This is the jungle area, 25 to 50 miles northeast of Saigon.
the hope is to expand a new generation's appreciation
All of a sudden, we had like 3 M48 tanks running in front of us and a bunch of APCs.
of the sacrifices
William Ide and I were close friends. We're going through a rice paddy, and I watch him disappear.
of those that came before.
We wanted people to feel it in their bones to the extent we could make that possible.
Starks believes war stories told like this
We didn't find a lot of William. Okay, we didn't even find his backpack or rifle.
carry extra weight.
I hope that people really learn a little bit more about what did it take to create the country that we have, and what do we need to continue to do to keep this country going forward.
And if visitors show an interest in service down the road, Stark says his investment will have been worth it over the long haul.
It's a level of appreciation that I think people are surprised to feel when they come through this museum.
Andrew Adams, KSL 5 News.
When this lake gets restocked with fish, it's a fishing face-off between humans and birds.
It was a crowded Wednesday morning at Chisholm Park in Hearst.
Oh, great. You did good, son.
Charlotte, Hannah, her son, and grandsons were there.
So something's out there.
Oh, something flopped over there. You can come down here by Josh Evie. Try over here.
Casey Carlton, his sons, and his daughter Evie
Got your barbie pole.
drove all the way from Arlington.
Great. Tangled.
Dan Armstrong
I love it.
staked out his spot too.
I told the wife I was staying till 1, and I'm patient enough I can do that.
Their patience would pay off because they knew when the fish would arrive.
I think that they're going to be here real soon.
9:30 a.m. to be exact.
How's life at the hatchery treating you?
Oh, it couldn't be better.
They came in Jordan Harris's truck.
Yeah, you're going to watch them come out? 475.
Farm-raised rainbow trout dumped in the Chisholm Park pond in just 60 seconds. A monthly visit by Texas Parks and Wildlife, trout in the winter, catfish in the summer, to make sure neighbors have something to catch. Fish planting times and dates and locations.
That's all she wrote.
Available online.
We do the best that we can to make sure that our anglers have plenty of access to the fish that we're stocking.
Ew.
Because they're paid for by their dollars.
Pretty far. Go it straight out.
But there is just one problem. Fish-eating and deep-diving migratory cormorants.
Oh, somebody wants a free meal.
They're a problem everywhere.
They seem to know
Yeah.
when the fish are arriving too.
They'll be up in the trees, and as soon as we pull in and dump fish, man, they're right down on the water.
Like they know the day it's going to happen.
They either smell them or see them and follow them.
Josh, throw that shad in there on the ice.
But because the birds are federally protected, anglers have to wait their turn, catch what's left.
What's left?
There was nobody here yesterday.
No.
I'm serious.
Some would find a trout or two.
Did you get something, Josh? Was that on a worm?
Yeah.
Casey Carlton and his kids plan to take them home for dinner.
It's a nice one.
It's tasty fish.
The birds, though, he says he could do without the competition.
I do not like cormorants.
It is what it is. I don't have to catch fish to survive, so it's fair.
I've never caught a trout, so it would be nice.
I'm still waiting on the first one. Yep.
So go online, check the schedule, learn when it's best for you to go fishing.
Hold the button.
Or be like Evie on a steep shoreline levee and just roll with what Mother Nature and a truck of fish provide.
They're investing in their own conservation by doing that, and you know, we greatly appreciate it. We love our anglers, and we definitely want to keep them as happy as we can.
At Chisholm Park in Hearst.
Evie, you're getting all muddy rolling down that hill.
I'm Kevin Reese.
Silly little girl.
The Berkman Holiday Home will be featured on ABC's The Great Christmas Light Fight, which means national attention. The house features 80,000 lights, 300 holiday pieces arranged carefully on the lawn, and an entire Christmas village that now encompasses their entire garage.
At the Berkman Holiday Home, the show starts well before it gets dark. And it's quite a show.
I use the term OCD, obsessive Christmas disorder.
Obsessive is putting it lightly.
So beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Pun intended.
Our goal is for you to not see the grass when the lights are on, but to see us from outer space.
Jennifer Berkman is the master decorator.
I'm a little more than meticulous.
80,000 lights, 300 featured pieces. Their garage is converted into a village within a village.
I ran out of room.
This is a 22-year family tradition.
I blame it on my parents. They met in a craft store.
And together they have quite successfully created
Mommy, look at the ride.
a moment. The Holiday Home in Frisco now featured on ABC's The Great Christmas Light Fight.
Hi, folks. How are you?
It takes the Berkmans 6 to 10 weeks to create this, 3 attics to store it, but worth every bit.
Oh my gosh, that is fabulous.
When you see the reactions.
Just, it's like an awe moment. That's the only thing I can say, right? You just want people to go, wow.
Yeah, I see it. It's back there.
And here's the why. They have 2 adult boys who they first started buying these decorations for. Over time, it added up. Both children are on the autism spectrum.
They inspired me to always try harder and never give up.
And that pledge continues. The family started a foundation that gives scholarships for after high school and trade schools for those on the spectrum. This sheds light on that.
Yeah, do that. Can you do that?
Nothing says community quite like this. The Berkmans are creating a moment.
A snowman.
And often that comes with questions.
How much is your light bill?
To top it off, there are 20 decorated Christmas trees inside the home. It's never a finished product. They see potential.
That wouldn't get the side though.
For next year.
I may be on Amazon tonight ordering what I need. So.
It's the show too good not to see.
Are they ice skating?
In Frisco, I'm Jobin Paniker.
Got a kink for sound?
If North Texas had a soundtrack for this week, this would be a sample. We all heard it differently.
This is a lot of wind. Strong, strong wind.
First the storm Sunday, then the snow.
So it's very cold. You know, we don't get this very often in Texas. This I like the sound. I like crunchy things.
But silence is the absence of sound, and too many heard that.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't hear power for like maybe 3 days.
It grounds you when you don't have it, And it makes you appreciate it more when you do.
For so many, no power, no water.
A lot of something melted.
And then, too much water. Frozen pipes bursting. Wednesday, Thursday.
It is a pipe. That's not a beautiful sound at all.
Apartment is flooded, their stuff is ruined.
By the end of the week, relief.
That's the sound of hope, honestly.
It sounds like power.
By Friday,
To me, it's like, it's a soothing sound.
Hearing it melt, it's kind of like, okay, it's like a sigh of relief.
North Texas thaws. The sounds we can recognize.
I'm ready to hear the sounds of cars and things moving again.
In North Texas, I'm Jobin Paniker.
Tanner Siegworth, KSL TV.
Deep in the heart of Sugar House beats an undying love
Big seller are our chocolate eclairs.
for the delicious.
Super Bowl cookies. One woman ordered 5 dozen. That's a big party.
At Carol's Pastry Shop,
I started when I was 18.
the passion for baking takes seniority.
I just turned 88.
Bob Walkenhorst and his older brother Al
I'm 92.
have been selling sweets longer than anyone remembers.
I've had 4, 5 couples come in with the wedding, my mother and dad's wedding cake. Could you duplicate this cake? And I looked at it and I said, well, I made that 50 years ago.
First purchased back in 1948.
He said, where the heck did you get $1,500 so fast? The bakery's yours.
Al says the business succeeded for decades.
We were making 150 pies a day.
Until the pandemic came, and it wasn't certain the old shop would survive.
We've lost all our business on the wholesale. We lost the Jazz when they played here. They had the big orders. We didn't have any weddings for June hardly because of this COVID.
But Carol's proved to be a tough egg to crack.
2 weeks ago is when it really just took off.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Busy, busy, busy like Christmas.
The community started to support the shop on social media.
I just felt compelled to help them as well, and so I just put it out there.
And those efforts quickly began to pick up steam.
Found it on Facebook, and I think it's the small businesses that are really being tested, and we'd like to support this business.
Yeah, it was crazy Saturday.
Even for a bakery, that was a lot of dough.
I've never seen a line from right here all the way down to the road.
I found that article on Facebook.
It's awesome to see the support, the community really rally.
It helped us.
Bob only wished he had the words.
Oh.
For all the love paid in return.
21-12.
Today, the shop seems nowhere close to done.
My wife says, you don't want to stay home. All you'll do is sit in front of the TV and watch TV all day.
The bakers may be old.
It's a lot of work, and you can't go home till it's finished.
But the passion they share with those around them
That's what keeps us going.
continues to keep them fresh.
Appreciate them all. Thank you, thank you.
Andrew Adams, KSL 5 News.
A soft feature edit of a mother who loves to provide fun for her kids, even when temperatures were below 10.
On summer days, positive people make lemonade from lemons. But these days,
-10.
neighborhoods need a Jessica Montenegro to make rainbows from ice.
We've been loving the negative weather.
Temperatures down, and Jessica up to her neck in cold snap creativity.
You just really have to pack it in good.
An igloo also teaching lessons
Want to come in here, guys?
to Jessica's sons.
We're trying to find some more icicles.
Oh, yeah. Let's embrace every season, every temperature. Here's some freezing here.
Food coloring ice blocks made in cake pans.
Open it up a little bit. Voila.
Mortar made in buckets.
Yeah, slush. Yep.
And magic made below zero.
Probably 2 minutes to freeze, yeah.
It's all done. We're gonna eat pizza in it.
We're gonna have the pizza delivery guy deliver it to the igloo.
In summer, Jessica's known to her neighbors for elaborate driveway chalk murals.
It's just an extension of sidewalk chalk, basically, yeah.
Makes the neighborhood a nice place to be.
A ray of positivity.
At least we have the sun.
For Jessica Montenegro, even on the coldest of days, the pluses outweigh the minuses.
I think it's gonna be really cool.
Boyd Hupert, KARE 11 News, Lakeville.
General Soft Editing, Father and Son.
This ride along with two Mesquite police officers is different for a couple of reasons. For one, it's Captain Paul Pacinia's last time in a patrol car, which explains why his goals for the day were kind of simple.
Don't burst into tears in public and don't have a traffic accident.
The other reason, the rookie in the passenger seat for this last patrol, is his 24-year-old son, Will.
Today, I'm learning what bittersweet is.
Because after a 33-year career with Mesquite Police as Paul Pacinia retires, his son's career is just beginning. A newly minted academy graduate who knew as early as the age of 16
Dedication to the job.
that he wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps.
Well, it's difficult to see your son go into a dangerous occupation, but in our time on patrol together, I've had a chance to see that he's good at it, and that gives me confidence.
A bittersweet moment, maybe even more, for a wife and mom.
I'm so proud of my husband and the job that he's done. Goodness.
That's okay.
And even more emotional about my son. You know, we need good men like him.
This is where the old station used to be.
On that last patrol together, a dad and captain offered final words of advice, especially these words.
To maintain his humanity and to remember that the proof of that is that for every person that might curse you, there's 20 more of the good citizens here in Mesquite that will bless you and thank you for what you do.
Mesquite Police Department would like to honor retiring Captain Paul Pacina on his last day on duty.
And after that final patrol together, a traditional police sign-off so that his brothers and sisters in blue could thank him.
This is Pacina number 503. It has been my honor to serve with you. May God bless and keep you all. I'm 10-7.
Congratulations, Captain.
Paul Pacinia, as promised, did not get into a traffic accident, did not burst into tears. His wife and family had that covered outside.
Well, you made it. I'm proud of you, Will.
An officer proud of a 33-year career and of the son, ready to put it all on the line next.
I'm proud of you.
In Mesquite, I'm Kevin Reese.
Dan Blomel, BOP Editing, 2022, General Soft News Edit. They're the best sidewalks ever.
The city of Nashville is continuing to widen sidewalks on Lower Broad as it sees an increase in the number of tourists and visitors down here. So, how are the new sidewalks going over so far? Tonight, we decided to ask the experts. Every time your humble correspondent is sent out to do a story on Lower Broadway, it's always the same thing.
Oh my God, am I on the news?
Don't let me on the news, man.
Need an interview?
So just this once,
I want to be on TV.
we decided to oblige. After all, who better to talk to on a story about the city expanding sidewalks to accommodate all this foot traffic than the foot traffic itself. New sidewalks over there, what do you think?
I like them, they're good.
Very pro sidewalk. New sidewalks, what do you think?
Well, they paved them pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. They're the best sidewalks ever.
Oh my God, they're amazing.
We love them.
You can't say that.
They're the best.
They're freaking amazing.
All kidding aside, the city says these sidewalk widening projects like the one between 1st and 2nd are important as more tourists show up here to keep them safe. The wider sidewalks and permanent barriers replace the more makeshift widened sidewalks that are still there across the street. And this one, the city says, should be done in just a couple weeks. Just in time for more celebrating. Reporting from Lower Broadway,
It's my birthday. What's up? Let's do it.
Jason Lamb, News Channel 5.
More than 600,000 tons of lost and abandoned fishing gear is believed to end up in the world's oceans every year. CBS News correspondent Nancy Chen reports on the effort to clean up ghost gear from Portland, Maine.
On the surface, Portland, Maine's coastline looks like a classic New England picture postcard. But lurking just a few feet below, another world. One of long-forgotten fishing nets, ropes, and lobster traps, tangled together over years by storms and currents.
If you throw it over the side, it never leaves. It's still there.
Lobsterman Jim Buxton has worked the waters off Portland for more than 30 years. He led us 3 miles offshore to Whitehead Passage, where we watched him haul up today's catch, a ball of lost and abandoned fishing gear, twisted with his own.
That's probably 6 or 8 traps, then a rope for a string, and a piece of gill net that was drifting around the bottom.
How did you find it?
It was wrapped up in some lobster gear I was actually actively fishing. This is gill net.
It's known as ghost gear.
That's a trap door. This is a shrimp twine head, which we started using in the late 80s, early 90s.
How long do you think this has been underwater?
I'm estimating like 15 years plus.
In 2019, Buxton helped recover this 7-ton ball of ghost gear off nearby Cape Elizabeth. But that's just a small fraction of the more than 600,000 tons of fishing gear thought to be added to the world's oceans each year.
It's really something that is out of sight, out of mind for most folks.
Jacqueline McGarry is the program manager for the Global Ghost Gear Initiative, or Triple GI, at the Ocean Conservancy. The Triple GI is an alliance of 18 nations, dozens of companies, universities, and NGOs.
Ghost gear is the most harmful form of marine debris to wildlife, but it is also really harmful to fishers and coastal communities who depend on income from fishing. And it is a problem pretty much anywhere you find fishing.
Anywhere in the world?
All over the world.
Ghost gear can unintentionally trap, injure, or even kill marine life. Last year, divers freed this whale from a tangled fishing net off the coast of Italy.
Is the solution to all this in the prevention or in the removal of ghost gear?
It really is about both. Preventing it from ending up in our ocean in the first place, minimizing the amount of damage it does, and then recovering what's easily able to be recovered.
Like the ghost gear Buxton found on a dive at the end of a fishing pier in downtown Portland. There was so much, a crane had to be brought in to lift it out of the water.
I mean, this is a challenge.
Aaron Pelletier runs the Gulf of Maine Lobster Foundation and works with the Triple GI and fishermen like Buxton to organize local cleanups.
You know, when you're pulling it up out of the water and you're waiting to see what it is, it's like waiting for Christmas.
Wow, what is this?
Among the finds, a door, ladder, and plenty of traps, nets, and rope. About 2 tons in all.
Smells good.
That hits you right in the nostrils. Holy moly.
No one had really approached the subject before. Fishermen in general don't want their fingers pointed at them because this is nothing they do on purpose. But they've started to realize, why don't we be stewards of the environment and help with the process rather than pretend it's not there?
How important is it to have that partnership with them?
It's critical. And they know where the stuff is. They're the ones who get on the water. I don't dive, so we wouldn't be able to do it without them.
A sometimes tedious task in what can feel like just a drop in the ocean. But Buxton wouldn't have it any other way.
How do you feel bringing this stuff up?
Good. I've been a diver since '83. The average person never sees the bottom. This is part of fishing, you know, and I'm a fisherman. I feel responsible to help clean it up.
Removing the ghost gear of years past and keeping these waters full of life. For CBS Mornings, I'm Nancy Chen in Portland, Maine.
Okay, we're done with that category.
Is this the part where?
Yeah. This is the part where you like say something.
I reserve my time. I'd like to send to the great judge of Anastasia.
What? This is being recorded. That is the only thing that's saving you right now. So what I was saying is the only story that stands out to me is the creative way that the guy put together a story about the storm. I see that you're talking about headphones. I think that to me, he was using it because he was having people listen to the different sounds and kind of maybe talk about it. I think that was the vehicle he needed to use to drive the story. But that really, that's struck me. I mean, there's like so many nice shots and so many like in that sound. I mean, it's like the opposite of what we've talked about in the past, which is like there was a lot there.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. That one stands out to me.
I just suffered through everything else.
I was sucked in with the crackling of the ice right away on that. So I'm in agreement.
Just
I am.
Just didn't work for me, but I recognize the sounds edited well. I just like, I don't know. I think that's probably a writing thing though. Yeah.
Tony?
Oh, I agree. That's first place for me. That's the only of all the stories. I mean, I didn't care for the editing. I didn't think it was anything special. The kid with the stutter. I can't remember the name of it. Finding his voice. I liked the story, but I wrote no comments down because I had nothing. So I felt I didn't have hate. I didn't have love. I was almost apathy towards it.
The fender to fender was sequenced fairly well. The story was like a minute too long maybe, but for a while it was going strong.
Which one was that?
That was the first one with the kind of car choir. I'm a little underwhelmed overall. Yeah, I don't know.
It was too long. It was too long. It lacked focus.
Yeah.
Because is the story about the choir or is the story about the choir director?
Yeah.
And that wasn't.
And then between that story and the story about the stutter, just had so much potential, but she and the first woman broke it up way too much, right? Like we talk about using the NPPA style too much, too many short line nat. I'm like, I'm having a seizure at this moment. Like let something breathe. In addition to the tone, like the woman who was doing the stutter piece, if you think about it, like she tried to sound like Boyd. Where is your voice? How would you track it? You know, I mean, anyway, so I just was like, that needs to not happen. But yeah, I think the storm, I can't even think of a second or third.
What obligations do we have to place stories, if any?
It's entirely your obligations. If you only like one, you only place one. If you only like two, you place two. If you like 70, you place 70.
I'd be in favor of as few as possible.
It sounds like we sort of agree on one.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone else speak of anything else except for fender to fender and finding his voice. Cody or Aaron, do you have others that you'd like?
I mean, I like, just as a story, I liked the Magic Made Below Zero the most. It was just like, I mean, sort of a simple-ish edit, but I, I, I don't know how to phrase it. None are exemplary to me. Not
I
his.
just, I just like the storm. Nothing else really stuck out to me.
Are we good on this category then? Because we're all in favor of the storm, right?
Yeah.
So you're all in favor of just having one thing placed and nothing else? Is that a
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Don't make us discuss any more of that, please.
Because we are recording.
okay? All right, then we will just have ASMR placed first, and that's it. All right, so now we'll go to